Oh. We are back, everyone, with the next episode of Irish Iron. Today's guest is Dave Fox. Dave is a gym owner. He is an ex-competitor, and he's fairly well known. He's a well-known coach across the country, and it's good to have him on. How are you doing, Dave? How are we doing?
All good here. All good. Enjoying my time down,
Deadly.
eating, training, just doing the usual bodybuilding stuff. I feel like I'm back in prep again. It's just eat, sleep, train all day, train whenever I want.
Yeah.
Do cardio. So that's good. That's good.
Like,
with a break.
Would the gym, would Progym be up? Would that be close enough to yourself anyway? Like you wouldn't have to get too far out of your way to get to it.
We're only 5 minutes down the road, so
Perfect.
it's handy with me and Emma's. Two of us are working there, so she can go in. She can work the morning shift. I can come down at lunchtime, and I can work through the evening shift. Close at 9 o'clock. So it's really handy,
Yeah.
And the kids, so we have it all planned out. It's all in a good way of going now.
Yeah. No, what I was thinking though, it's like it would be totally like with the members now. What I've always said is like when you get a gym, like your gym, which is pretty much it's a unique gym. It has a good, vibe to it, and it's ran by, people who care. I don't think the members aren't gonna leave in this situation at all. It's more the gyms like a commercial chain. Those would be the ones I would be thinking that the members would drop out of. Or how's it been for yourself?
We have Pure Gym just directly across the road.
Yeah.
So that's people would start off their training because of the price, and it's a big facility, and then they would figure out after a year or so that that's not the place for them. Then they would come to us. But we do have our lot of members, and the gym's been operating now for the last 18, 19 years, so we're there a long time. And as I say, I've handpicked all the machines myself. They suit me, for my needs first, and then everybody else, of course, they like the machine choice too. So it's all the best of stuff. Trying to have the good stuff in there. Sorry, just Emma's.
Yeah, no worries.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so
it's like a bodybuilding gym first and foremost. There's no point of trying to change it into something that's not. People come in, they want to, as soon as they come in the door, they see the atmosphere and they see the quality of the machines, and they think, right, I want to get in shape. I want to step on stage maybe someday. And now, because Emma's working there, she's obviously got a pro card, and she brings a lot of women too, where before the women were afraid to come into the gym because it was just me there. And I suppose me being a bodybuilder, shaved head, I look a bit intimidating for most women, so they're afraid to come in at the start. But she seems to bring them in now, and she's a good following there.
Deadly, man. Like, how did you get into the gym game? Because it's obviously a big jump to go straight into self-employment. Did you kind of just figure it would be the best way to compete and have a job, just combine the two of them, or how did it?
Yeah. Well, way back at the start, when we were training in different gyms, we were going to, some gyms were like, they had a few good machines, they had a load of rubbish. And I always thought, what, I would like to have a good quality gym where it's full of good equipment, stuff you can build a really good physique with, and then push my knowledge on people too. So we found the location that was lying empty for a long time, and it was like a car showroom. So the floor was like bites and slabs, it was made for weight, and the location was perfect on the Strand Road, just in the middle of town. So you had parking, you had everything. So I thought, this is going to be a gamble, but I think it's going to pay off. Then I went to London, sourced out machines, second-hand machines, and got a loan from the bank and just put them in. Got ever since. Whenever I see something new, I take something old out. I keep on renewing the stock, keep on renewing the machines. When I see something nice, I take the old machine out and bring something better in.
Yeah. Yes, it's basically it's just making the gym work around, like you want it to be the best place possible for a competitor to train. Really, you don't want them leaving to train different things and then coming back to different.
No.
No, that's perfect, man. Cause
behind every good gym too, you need somebody there, or a number of people who can prep people, who can share knowledge, who can keep people right. You know,
yeah,
it's not just about having the best equipment. You need the right people there too to share knowledge, and they pass knowledge on and experience. So we have a good team there. So it's not
yeah,
just myself, Emma. It's like the likes of Brian Ward. It's like Masoom Butt. You know, we have good quality competitors, seasoned competitors, people with a lot of knowledge, a lot of years under their belt. So you know, that's the thing. That's the thing that makes the gym work too, is the quality and numbers there.
yeah. That being said, like, so I mean, like, you'd probably have you have Brian, you have Billy, you have Emma. Um, is there any upcoming names that would be like with all the shows being cancelled like all this year? How did the competitors take that? Like, I'm not in prep, so I was okay with all the gyms being shut. I'm like, I live in the country, man, so I have my own little resistance band set up and just taking it as a recuperation time. But for somebody who's getting ready for a show to just be told 4 weeks out, you're done. How was that for your guys? Did they take it hard, or were they okay with it?
Yeah, no, it was a tough time because I had people prepping for like up to a year. You know,
Okay.
I've got Gerald in Galway, who's been with me for the last year and a half,
Yeah,
and she was prepping for the Muscle contest for a full year, and she was in the best shape of her life. And for her to take that, you know, I was like, fuck, this is going to be tough. It's going to be tough mentally and physically. So she's taking it really well. She's exactly the same as everybody else. You know, there's not much we can do. We just got to keep pushing on until next year. We had some going for NABBA and PCA, obviously the next year. So they just come off diet and
yeah,
just went back on not for a while. But it must be really tough to take. One girl, she was getting ready for last year's muscle contest, and something happened, she couldn't do it, and then this year that happened. So it's been 2 years in the trot for her. So
stop.
tough on her too, yeah.
Yeah,
But I think for every competitor, they all just got to take the reality of things and say, look, you know, we got to look the bigger picture here and just push on for next year.
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I've only been getting into the gym game now. And I had one client, and I mean, I had one client, so I was like, okay, I just said, look, what do you want to do? At the end of the day, it's my job to help you get to where you want. And he said, look, we'll leave it till October. Happy days, less stress on both our parts. But we'll go back. How did you get into bodybuilding, Dave? Because I remember like, when I got started, the guys I would have looked up to would have been like down here would have been Tommy, it would have been Enda, it would have been all them guys, and then up in the north it would have been Billy, yourself, and then Mark, and there was a few of the juniors I competed with as well that have stepped away. But how did you get into the bodybuilding scene? And yeah, what was your introduction? Just
well, we're going right back to when I was like 16, so back to the 80s. You know,
yeah,
that's a fair bit back. I was playing rugby at school,
yeah,
and my brother, he was an engineer, so he opened the first kind of bodybuilding gym in Derry. You know, he made all the equipment in the garage. Everything was made from scratch, from his mind, his imagination. So he just made everything up, covered everything in heavy grease. So everything was covered in this heavy grease. So
yeah,
it slid up and down, you know, like a pull down. And you just
deadly.
put plates on. Plates were like just lumps of steel. hole drilled in it, a 1-inch hole drilled through everything. So it was rough and ready, but it was the place to train. So he started off bodybuilding game in Derry, and a lot of people trained in his gym. And that's where I started off. I started off when I was 16, and then entered my first competition when I was 17. It was like a schoolboy Mr. Ulster in Belfast, and won that. And then I went on then from that to junior the next year. Took a few years off, and then started doing the Mr. class. So it was roughly about 22, 23 when I was entering the Mr. in Northern Ireland. And for the first 4 or 5 years I was going up, I was a big lump of a kid, like, but had no condition, because back then it was like 1984, 85. You know, we had no social media, we had no knowledge. You know, we were just going by what we seen in a magazine, and it was just trial and error. So the food was basic, the supplements were non-existent. I think we were taking desiccated liver, you know, and what do you call that protein? Milk protein. It's like Caslan. It's called Caslan 90. Have you ever seen? You ever seen that stuff?
No like, flavor or anything. I'd say it was just like powder.
It's like wallpaper paste, you know. So we were taking this shit back then, training our backsides off. Hadn't a notion about diet. Had a notion about gear. Nothing. So I kept doing the show. I remember Ivan Dunbar. He's dead now. He used to run the NABBA Northern Ireland, Belfast. You got to just get your condition. So I trained, and come back in 87, 88. 97, 98, and I won the overall twice. So I won the overall in Northern Ireland twice.
Deadly. Bear with me.
That bench press, tore the pec, and that sort of said to myself, right, that's me done in bodybuilding. So I kept on training, but obviously with a tear here, it's like it's so noticeable. You know, it's like you think, no, I'm never going to compete again because they're going to mark me down for a tear. So it took maybe 4 or 5 years off, and then it was 2002, sorry, when I opened the gym, Progym, started training again, and started putting a bit of mass back on. That's when I thought to myself, you know what, this tear doesn't look too bad. Maybe I will go give it another crack. And that's when I got back into the bodybuilding side of things then. So took it from there.
Did you get surgery, Dave, or did you just leave it? Like, was it a full tear? Or?
No, it's like a partial, because it's in the middle, right? So I think I've seen a lot of guys with high up, it seems to be just completely ripped off the tendon. So they need a full surgery. But back then, when I tore mine, the doctors in the hospital, they hadn't a clue what it was. They says, "Oh, you just bruised yourself. It'll be fine." But in my head, you know, I felt the tear and I heard the tear when I tore it, so I knew it was bad. But then when I started training, started building a bit of muscle back on the pec, it didn't look too bad, you know. So I thought, why not? We'll give it another go. But no, I didn't. Surgery wasn't an option back then. I think the surgery was costing maybe $4,000.
Yeah.
When I was like 28, I hadn't got that kind of money to spend, so that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
But I think I've done all right, you know. With the touring pec, I've still come back and won a few shows, and I know I'm only like maybe 90% where it could be, because I can't press, you know, can't lock out that side properly, and this side's always been weaker. This side's always been weaker since. So I think what I've done, I've just adapted my training, but my chest was always a good strong point. But then when I tore it, it's never been the same, you know. It's never been as strong, and it never looked.
The thing is, though, what I found, Dave, is like with us as bodybuilders, we're always going to be overcritical of ourselves. Like, whereas an external person may not notice to the same extent that we would. Like, I broke my arm, and I've torn my knee up, and I've had a few small tears. And the muscle always looked a little bit different after every single injury. Like, the nerves healed a bit differently and stuff like that. But no one else really seemed to notice it. Maybe 1 or 2 people, but that was it. But definitely when you get leaner and you could see everything, you're like, oh shit, I hope they don't see that.
Yeah, and then obviously on stage you can't hide it. You know, you can't hide the tears. And if you're in a good lineup and it's like between you and the Norgad for first and second, Obviously, the guy with no tears is going to beat you. So that's the way I looked at it. I was always standing on stage 90%, 80% of where I could have been with the tear. So it's the way it is. It's the way it goes.
Yeah. But that being said, I remember you stuck with NABBA, didn't you? You never really. Was there any reason behind that? Was it like the titles? Like I stick with NABBA mainly just for I want some of those titles, and I think there's a good bit of prestige to it and stuff like that. And then once those are done, I tell people this. Every organization has their merits. It's like it really depends what your end goal is. Like I tell people, if you want to get your feet wet, go to the PCA. I mean, they've so many good shows. If you want like to go to the universe, you have to do NABBA. And then if you want the IFBB Pro card, you have to go that route as well. So it really depends on what you want. But you've won a few titles. I mean, like, what have you won, and what have you placed in? I would say.
Starting off, I won the Northern Ireland twice overall, back 97, 98, and then I won the Mr. Britain overall.
Cool.
2013, I won the Mr. Ireland overall. When I joined NABBA Ireland, when Paul Byrne brought it out, I was originally with NABBA UK, and then I joined NABBA Ireland, and I don't know if you heard, there was a whole uproar over that, and I got banned for a year because I was competing with NABBA UK all my life because there was no NABBA Ireland. And then when Paul Byrne opened NABBA Ireland, I says, right, I'm joining NABBA Ireland because I'm Irish. I want to compete with Irish. Yeah. So there was an uproar at the 2007 Universe, and I don't know if you've seen it. It was hilarious. I can look back and laugh at it now, but at the time it was fucking serious. So they ended up banning me because I held the tricolor on my back. So after that, I joined NAC. Do you know the NAC?
Yeah, that's up in that's like France and
So they asked me to be the Irish rep for NAC, and I says, happy days, this is going to be good. So I've done that for a few years, and then I went back to NABBA. Always found NABBA was like a sort of family unit, And I competed around the world with NABBA. They invited me all around the world. I had some great trips. Met some cracking bodybuilders over the years. So I've always had that sort of affiliation with NABBA. And I thought, I'm not going to be a professional. I'm not going to get a pro card. So there's no point in me jumping ship to UKBFF or IFBB because I hadn't got what it takes to be an IFBB pro. I knew that myself. I sort of says, look, this isn't going to happen. So I was judging for NABBA too at one stage. I would have judged the NABBA Northern Ireland, the NABBA Ireland. I'd done that for quite a few years. So I was doing a lot with NABBA, and I found them, I found a good sort of like family unit, and made a lot of good friends. But obviously there was the politics involved too, where I've seen it 2 or 3 times when I was competing in the NABBA Britain stuff, that a few things happened, and we'll not get into it, but there's a few shows that I should have won that I didn't win, and there's a few things that happened down to getting the ban from NABBA for a full year. What the hell's that over? That was just politics. I was just like, because I was competing for NABBA UK, and then I says, no, I'm going back to my roots here. I'm going back to NABBA Ireland, and they didn't like it.
Crazy.
So I've always, I know it's crazy, but there's that much happened over the years, and I know it's like politics in every sport, but when you see it firsthand, it does piss you off in a way. But for me, it pissed me off at the time, but it just made me train harder and come back the next year and try and beat the guy that beat me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I was told, I remember going to the UK for the first few times, is just be ready for the fact that even if you are good enough, and you're neck and neck, more than likely, they don't know who you are. So just be ready for that. Like, that's what I was always told. But that being said, like I was never in shape enough, in my mind anyway, to have earned a better placing anyway. So I wasn't too broke. I wasn't too disappointed. But I can only imagine. Like I know I'd be. I can only imagine what it's like going over and then being told it's not necessarily because of the way you looked. It's because of politics and stuff like that. I think it's more. I like what I tell people is this: it's like it's only becoming more public now because of social media, but it's always been around. There's always been certain things happening and stuff. It's just not being so visible because of social media wasn't around. But that being said, after the ban, you came back and you still won shows and everything. So obviously, in the long term, it didn't really play too much of a role. But but that being said, you said to me there you didn't think you knew an IFBB Pro card wasn't in the cards. Was there any reason behind that? Was it just your own? You'd have to push it too hard, or was it just something? Just it wasn't appealing.
I just knew my physique wasn't up to the standard that it had to be.
Okay.
You got to be realistic with what you have and your physique, and you have to look at the guys you're competing against and say, right, can I actually stand on stage with those guys? Because for the first few years, when I was like 2004 up to maybe 2008, when I was going over to the Mr. Britain, I was standing on stage, and they used to hold in Blackpool, in the ballroom in Blackpool, and we were going over and we were getting smashed every year. The Northern Ireland team were going to the Britain every year, and we were getting smashed. And we were standing on stage, and we were out-muscled by everybody, And you were looking at the photo after the show, and you were going, "Shit, those guys are big." And we were 5 years behind the British guys. This was back in the early 2000s. The British guys were like Grant Thomas, Grant Thomas, Jason Corrick. You had all the friggin' math.
Yeah, I know Jason. I remember seeing pictures of him. He was a machine. He was a freak.
Aye.
Yeah.
Gary Lister, the class, and like my class 2 was one of the toughest classes, and they were like 2 stone here, 2 stone of muscle on what I had. So I was coming back home, fucking hell, these guys are big. What do I got to do to get that size? And I knew in my head that it was never going to happen. So sort of the pro card was out the window anyway, because that's the next level up. So I thought, if I can go over to the Mr. Britain, stand on that stage and win my class, first of all, that's what I want to do. I thought, if I can win my class, I'll be happy being Mr. Britain. So I'd done that. And then I'd done the overall in 2013. I was going back every year. I think the Mr. Britain title is one of those titles. It's like Mr. Universe, that you want to get it. You're going to keep going until you get it, until you fucking kill yourself or you die or whatever. You're going to keep on pushing hard. So at that stage, like the gym was set up. I had everything there I needed. I could eat, sleep, and train. My partner at the time, she was competing too. So the two of us were competing around the world every year. And I thought, right, I'll push this for so long, see how I can get on. But you don't realize you're stuck in that bubble. Like when you're in the bodybuilding bubble, you don't see outside. It just drags you in. And I remember we were doing 4 shows every year. So it would have started off like Mr. Northern Ireland. You were dieting through Christmas. Then you would keep dieting for the Mr. Britain. And then you would have kept dieting for the Worlds, which was in June. And then you would have kept dieting for the Universe, which was in October. So you were dieting fucking year round. You never really come off your diet. And you were on cycle more or less all year round. So it's tough on the mind. And then the money thing too. Like when you're spending all that money for every show, you must have been spending thousands on prep. If you added it all up, what you spent on one prep, you probably wouldn't do it again. Because it's mounting up to thousands.
Yeah, I know for fact. Yeah, no, 100%. Like I remember last year was the first year I competed throughout the year. I used to just pick. I haven't done too many shows. I've only done 10 shows looking back on it. But it was always October. So last year was the first year where I did the whole circuit. And the money factor definitely plays a part. But when you're in your zone, you don't really care. I mean, that's the thing. You kind of just do it, and then you step back, and you're like, "What the fuck was I doing for the last year?" But
more or less, you know, it's tough, but it's good to look back and say, right, you know, you've done that, and your body changed so much, and every show you've done, you should be at least getting leaner.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much, but you should be getting leaner each show. I don't have any regrets. I love the sport, and I still love the sport now to this day, and I still love prepping people, and that's what I'm pushing towards now, helping the guys in my gym, helping Emma, you know, and as I say, we have 3 pros now, 3 IFBB pros, and hopefully in the next year or two we'll get another couple of pros too.
Deadly. Is it just who would the other pros be bar Emma?
Well, we have Masoom.
Oh yeah. Fuck. Yeah.
Awesome. O'Leary.
Yeah, I keep forgetting Masoom.
So I prepped Alison for that show, and then I prepped Emma, help Emma more or less year round for all her shows. And Masoom, he's been living in Derry for the last so many years, and then he started coming back to train with us. And myself and Brian have been giving him, you know, a sort of critical eye every time he's prepping, because he normally preps with somebody else, but it's not the same. If somebody's standing in our front room and they're standing there and we can see body fat, but if you're sending pictures to somebody on the other side of the world, they can't see that same body fat. We can go over and grab and they assume, look, you're still carrying fat there in your ass. And they go, right. So it's handy that me and Masoom will be deadly honest, or me and Wardy will be deadly honest with Masoom when he's getting them shows, because he needs it, you know, he needs that second pair of eyes.
Yeah. Masoom comes in peeled though. He was on the money for for his comeback at the muscle contest. He was just outside. That was
I know why. Just needs more muscle.
Yeah.
Especially hamstrings, you know, quads could probably come up too, but I think from the side and from the back, he needs more hams. Upper body's thick and full, and detailed, but just the legs. But again, Masoom's 50. Masoom's my age, so you know, at that age, he's complaining about knees, fucking all over the place.
He doesn't look so like for him. He looks phenomenal. He doesn't look 50. I thought he was in his fuck. He's been around. I thought he was like late 30s, maybe early 40s or something. But
Masoom's 50, same as me. And he comes in, you know, see when he's training legs, see the first portion of like a squat or a leg press, he's in severe pain. But see when he gets down on the rep, see when he gets into the rep, he just sits in the rep. He might sit in the bottom of a squat with like 5 plates on the side and just keep repping and do maybe 8 reps, and then he'll come up and lock out, and then he'll go back down and do it. So it's a lockout for him. His knees are like in severe pain. So you feel for him, like, you know, he's in a lot of pain when he trains legs, but he still just comes up and gets on with it, you
know. Yeah. That being said, I mean, going back to Emma, she won her pro card. It was the first muscle contest. Yeah. Would you prep her, or would she have her own coach? Or how does that work out?
She was working with me from when she started. We won every show she done. Yeah. And then we decided, you know, we need to bring in a female coach here. We need another set of eyes. I thought we need somebody who can give her the female side, because I can give her my point of view and my knowledge, but we only took it so far. I needed to bring somebody else in, so we brought in Rosie Hart. You know Rosie?
I do. Yeah. Phenomenal.
So we thought Rosie's a good coach. We brought her in, and then she took her from like maybe when she won some of the national shows to the bigger shows, the Universe 2016. We took her through there, and then after that, then we brought in for the last couple of shows, we brought in Shelby Starnes.
Yeah.
So Shelby works mainly with women, mainly with WPC women and women's figure. So he's taken her the last prep for the Toronto last year. He took over, and again, like super knowledge and super easy to work with. You know, really calm, really everything's straightforward, nothing too complicated. And I couldn't say any more about him. Like he's a really, really good coach. And for Emma, she needs somebody else, not me, telling her what to do. Because when I tell her something, she sort of laughs and goes, "I dead on." But when Shelby tells her something, she does it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we needed that. But I think at some stage, your partner we need another prep, another set of eyes to take over. So he's been working with her now.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do the July show this year. I think it was in Portugal. And she started prep. She prepped for the first 10 weeks, and then, of course, the lockdown came then, so decided to come off and maybe get ready for next year now. So
cool.
That's the plan, anyway.
Yeah, so no plans to compete in any of the shows that are still on. Like I know the New York Pro is still going ahead, and but that's like October now, as opposed to
nothing this year. I think we're just happy just to try and build a bit of muscle and have a bit of downtime. Cool. And just let the body recover a wee bit, and then start again probably in January. Pick a show from January and then start prepping. So that's what she's going to do.
Cool.
Because I think she cracked that top 6 in Toronto in her first show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Looking back, she needed a bit more muscle up top. You know, lower half very good, but we need to build some more muscle up top. So I think if we go back next year, then we'll definitely get that more thickness up top.
Deadly. No, that's awesome, man. No, because like there's not very many like all the guys that are pros here. We don't have open bodybuilders. We only have classic bodybuilders. But then we have to see women with muscle do well. I've never been a bikini fan. I've never been like I've always gone for women's physique and women's bodybuilding. Those have been the two that I've followed. I wouldn't really know anything else. But is there any guys in your gym that you think could do that you'd be helping, or that you see around that have a chance to do well moving ahead, be it professional or non-professional, like any names in particular?
In bodybuilding or any class?
In general, any class, yeah.
Well, there's young Ben O'Connor. We took over to the San Marino, and he just missed out in the pro card for the physique class.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was his first show back. He started training with me and prepping with me for the last, I think it was about 6 months we worked together, and he just exploded, like size wise. We just packed on so much muscle on, and he has a nice shape to start with.
Yeah.
So he started training, and you know, physique guys, they don't like training legs at all. They probably don't think they need to train legs, but I hammered this guy week in, week out. You know, and every day he came on the legs, there was like, he didn't want to either. He just wanted to end the session straight away. But I made him train like a bodybuilder for this show, and we packed on loads of muscle, and he thickened right up, and then we dieted him down, and he come to the show, and he had decent legs, he had really good legs, good calves, and then when he got on stage in San Marino, I think there was maybe in his class maybe about 14 in the height class. He won that, but yeah, from a judge's perspective, like when I judge, even the physique class, when I'm looking along the class, you know, none of them had legs. Very few of them had legs, so the shorts were like swinging on them. And you could see him then, you could see the quads hanging out at the bottom of the shorts, and you could see the calf. So I think that stood to him. I think that stood for the judges like that. They like seeing a bit of quad, and they like seeing a bit of hamstring and a bit of calf. So he won the class, and then they put him in the open class for all the height classes, and he just narrowly missed the pro card. So I would say he's going to get a pro card next year. You know, this year he was planning him down to the muscle contest and get a pro card down there, but next year I would say he should get a pro card. There's very few up and coming young guys, I'll have to say. In the last few years, the up and coming guys are just not there. You know, it seems to be all the old time bodybuilders that are hanging in there. you know, like the Mark Gettys, the fucking boys in Belfast. They're all in their 40s. They're all like mid 40s or late 40s, and they're all still competing, still looking. So I think the young guys, we need to get some more young guys there. The James Gibson's a great physique.
Yeah.
There's another guy, Foley Abram, coming back next year, and he'll be in Brian's class 2. He's a great physique. But when you look around and you look for new guys, there's very few about.
Yeah, I laugh.
That's what I find. I don't know what it's like in the south.
It would be similar enough. It's a weird one because when I started out, there was, in my first show as a junior, there was 21 competitors in the junior class, and it was under 21s back then as well. So I think, in my head, I think it's just the inclusion of all the other categories. I don't think it's necessarily that there's less athletes. There's more athletes. They're just not doing bodybuilding. They're just doing other things. So I can't really, hate. I can't like look badly upon them for not doing that. But it's definitely. I definitely feel the quality of younger competitors. It's kind of just drifting a bit, just because there's less of us. There's less. Well, I'm not a junior anymore, but there's less juniors. There's less up and comers. But the good guys are always going to. The cream is always going to rise to the top anyway. So I don't think it really holds any. I don't worry about it. I'm kind of like, the guys who want to do it will do it, and the guys who don't want to do it won't do it. But it's still sad going to shows and seeing like 4 juniors as opposed to let's have a bit of a show and have a few call outs. But it is what it is. I mean, we have a few good prospects though. We have Shane Cullen trains a few guys, and they're all quite young. But no, it's a weird one. I wouldn't really know them, so I can't really comment. But there is less for sure. So, I mean, do you think it's more due to the? Do you think they just think it's easier to do other classes, or do you think it's just? What would your take be on it?
I think bodybuilding just comes in circles too. Yeah. You find that some years they're stacked, the classes are really busy, and then maybe you have a break in for maybe 3 or 4 years where you're sort of looking, going, where's all the bodybuilders going? Where's this guy going? Where's that guy going? And then after a few years, it comes back again. Yeah. So I think we're just going through one of those now where there's less up and coming guys, and all the guys seem to be competing are all more seasoned, the older guy. And then in another couple of years' time, you'll see the younger guys coming through again. So that's the way it seems to me. It comes in circles.
Yeah, it takes time as well. I mean, there's no point. Like, I mean, with bodybuilding as well, you have to take time off to grow. I mean, there's no point competing. Like, unless you're unless you're like, I mean, I've trained with some genetic freaks, and they just, they don't train too hard, and they just grow. And they're the guys who can grow from show to show to show. But for us, I think that's why there is lows, because you get guys taking time off to improve. So when they do come back, it's always a good show to watch then. But, I mean, what's it like having so many champions in your gym? Because, I mean, I competed against Billy when he made his comeback, and that was really nice, I mean, competing against the guy I used to look up to. And, I mean, he absolutely smoked me anyway. So that lit a fire under my ass. But has your gym always been a hotbed, like a good area for just competitors to train in, like you'd have them stay?
Yeah, I think the northwest always seem to get good guys. My gym from day one always seem to push out good competitors. We have loads of good national guys, loads of international bodybuilders, and now we have a few pros there too. So it just seems to be whatever we're doing, we're doing it right. You know, maybe we have more knowledge, maybe we're more concentrated, maybe the equipment, you know, maybe just a combination of everything, that we seem to be just pushing hard, and we have a good work ethic. And you know, when you come into my gym, everybody's training hard. If somebody's not doing things right, either I go down and tell them, or else Emma goes down and tell them. So there's always somebody there that go over and say, look, no, you're doing that wrong, and somebody correct you, which you mightn't get in most gyms. But like, if we even going back to the Northern Ireland days, I think there was like 6 years where the winners from the Northern Ireland, from all around the north, were coming out of the northwest. You know, they were all coming out of one area. So you know, like John Buchanan. Do you know John Buchanan?
No.
Do you remember him? Marty Monaghan.
Yeah, I know some of the names. It's like I'll tell you, Dave. It's like when I looked at the north, I always felt the Northern Irish scene was like, it was 5 years ahead of what we had down here. I always thought, like, in terms of actual, like, mass, like bodybuilders, like with actual size. I mean, you guys always had a little bit of a step above us. I mean, we had certain people, but even Tommy, you know, he's my height. You know, we don't have big bodybuilders down here. We really don't. I'm trying to think, and even at that, I mean, class 1 has never really been the category that wins our shows. It's always been like class 3, to be honest. Yeah, class 2 or 3. Yeah. So,
but I think that might have been the case maybe in the past, but now the guys in the south now are coming on.
Yeah.
And there is some good bodybuilders in the south now, so you are catching up. You're definitely catching up with the northern guys. But when we used to go from like Northern Ireland over to Britain and the worlds in the universe, we always thought we were light years behind. We thought we had like 10, 15 years on the English. So it's probably the same way. You know, he's our catching up, but it just takes time.
Yeah. Do you find now it's more? I always found that every international athlete that I've talked to that isn't from Ireland, they seem to get like a level of support from their gyms and the surrounding environment that they're in, to a level that enables them to almost live as a professional bodybuilder. Like, I know there would be teams going to the IFBB Worlds and like the Universe and all these amateur shows, but they'd actually be financially supported. Whereas, you know, we don't have that kind of base to really invest into amateur bodybuilding. So it's like, do you think it's just that kind of thing? Like, in my head, that's what levels it out, you know.
Yeah, maybe at a certain extent.
Yeah.
But now I think everybody can, you know, with the likes of the gym monster, even, you know, Glenn, he seems to just support every guy comes out of his gym and competes. So you need guys like that will say, right, okay, I've got a team of pros here training in my gym. I'm going to do everything I can to support him. He has to get the money there to do it. So you know, it's guys like him are helping the Irish bodybuilding progress.
Glenn's great, man. Glenn. I mean, the first time I walked into that gym was, oh God. Well, I trained there. I did all my preps last year. I trained there for a year and a half. The only reason I wouldn't go down is it's just very far from where I'm at. That's the sole reason I wouldn't be there as much. I had to relocate to a gym a little bit closer to home, and I'm lucky. I know I have good gyms, and we have a good chain down here called Go Gym. There's 3 of those. We have a few hardcore. We have some very good facilities, but where I'm at, I'm lucky. But like, I mean, there's a lot of people down here who would be in certain counties that don't have anything to the level we would. You know, it's concentration in areas. So yeah. But that being said, I mean, when you went abroad and you won the Britons, would you say that was your crowning achievement, or what would your highlight of your competitive career be?
The Britain was always one I wanted. I never thought I was going to win the overall, and that year, I was prepping again, and we started in January as usual. The Britain's usually May, so usually maybe about 20 weeks, and that to start that prep, I would have chatted to Dave Warner, Dave Warner, the strongman. So he would have said to me, right, sure, instead of doing cardio, why don't you try strongman for your cardio to burn fat? And I introduced the strongman after the workout every day. So we have a yard at the back of the gym where you can go outside and you can do the strongman circuit. And I introduced the strongman, and see, even after a week, he told me, he says, right, you'll see your physique change in a week. And after 1 week, I seen the physique change. It was more full, it was more grainy, and the legs stayed there. Everything seemed to be nice and full and grainy. So I phoned him up and says, Dave, this fucking strongman seems to be doing wonders for my physique. And he says, I told you, so I stuck with it, and I was out in rain, hail, snow. I was outside every day doing the strongman religiously. And it worked that much, it worked that well, that I kept the muscle in the legs, and I kept the fullness, and I just pulled my stomach right in.
Yeah.
My stomach would have sort of been a bit blocky or a bit bloated. And the strongman seemed to just take inches off my waist, which gave me a far better V-taper. So I'd done that right up to the Britons that year. And I come in shredded. I was a bit flat on the day because of water manipulation and stuff like that. But I still was able to take the overall, which was probably one of the best achievements. If I look back to 2007 Universe, when I competed through that year, I'd done the NABBA Ireland for the first year, 2007. Paul Byrne said, come down and compete. This is when the whole ban thing came on.
Yeah.
So I went down and I says, right, I'll come down and compete. I was running on 0 carbs for more or less the last 6 weeks. That's what I normally did back then. Instead of doing shitloads of cardio, I would just run on 0.
Yeah.
And just the fat would come off.
Yeah.
I would save my legs. My legs would tend to string out, you see, by doing too much cardio. So to keep the muscle full, I would go 0 and then just less cardio. So I went down to compete. Paul Byrne says, come down. I said, well, I want to compete. I went down flat, well, what I call flat anyway. 0 carbs, went down, and I just trained right up the show. Didn't do any water manipulation, no food, and just stepped on stage, won the overall. And then 2 weeks later, I was at the invite to the Universe. Went to the Universe, done a bit of carbon up, but I found my stomach distended a bit. But the class was like stacked, class 2 was stacked. Thomas Burez won. And I have the photos, from that show. And it was tight, I was beating him in some poses, but, Thomas Burez, he's just got that classical physique, he's great lines, great. But I was really happy with the condition I had and the fullness I had. And I looked back through the photos and I thought, I beat him in some shots, but he beat me in most of the shots. So that was a good year. The NABBA Ireland, I was in really good nick, lovely and full. And then the NABBA Universe, I was nice and full, but just a bit distended. So I think those 2 shows were pretty good for me as well. NABBA Universe or NABBA Worlds in 2011. I just posted some pictures from prep on that on my Facebook there last week. We'll look back at that too, and at a nice full physique. But that show coming up, everything was looking swell, everything was looking bang on. And then the week out, I fucking tore my tricep on the left hand side. I was 1 week before the show, and the elbow fucking tore off here, and the elbow just fluid. It was like a bag of blood hanging off my elbow, and the tricep went black. And that was like 4 or 5 days before the show. So I couldn't train update the last week, and I still flew over. I was putting cream on my elbow fucking the full week to try and get the swelling down. Yeah. And I still competed, but see, after that then, because I was tore in the pec and tore in the tricep, I just said to myself, no, that's me done. Like,
you're done.
I can't Can't do any more shows.
Yeah.
But I'll still come back another couple. But that's where I have a bad tear down one side, and the left knee is pretty bad shape too. So it's just I'm all injured down one side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I found that's like it. The problem is, like, if you injure something on one side, it's gonna start like other areas are gonna compensate. So it's always gonna be a dangerous game. But how did you do the tricep? Was it like bench pressing, or was it anything?
Not even. I think it was the Monday. I was going to compete on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was coming down the stairs at the gym, and I was like early morning. I was half asleep, and there's a window at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
And I missed the bottom step, and I was going out through the window, and I put my hand out. They stopped me, and I put my hand against the wall, and my body went on that left tricep.
Yeah.
And I just felt the tricep snap in the back of the arm. So I thought, holy fuck! I couldn't believe it. Like a week out from the show, but I still went and competed, and I think I placed 4th.
Okay.
Me and Big Enda that year. Enda won. I think he won the class 1 that year.
Yeah.
So good trip, but just an hour injury after, and one injury after another, I think.
Yeah. So what was your last year? Was it 2014 or was it
2013? 2014 NABBA Worlds in Belfast.
Okay.
Was that show, and again I could have been a bit leaner. The last couple of days just didn't go to plan, and I come in maybe too full on the day, plus a couple of tears. So after that, I thought, no, that's me done.
Yeah,
I've had enough.
Yeah. No, I actually had one question. It was Cahill McConnell, and what he asked me was, he said, after you came back off post-retirement, how did you deal with, like, obviously as bodybuilders, you know, when you're competing and everything, like, to anyone listening should know this, PEDs are involved, but the question I have, it's not about taking that's up to everyone's own individual research and stuff like that. But my question for yourself is, post-competitive career, what did you do? Did you like, how was the whole, you know, was there any theories back then, or because it's nearly 10 years ago now. Did you do anything like TRT or PCT or anything like that, or how did you manage to cope post-retirement?
I still do a bit of TRT.
Yeah.
I think when you're competing as much, when you started young and I've competed for over 30 years now, right? So a lot of shows, maybe 40 shows in the 30 years. So there's been a lot of cycles in between.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have used a lot of gear anyway. You know, I wasn't a big gear user, and I wouldn't advise people to use a lot of gear. I would always been sort of smaller doses, nothing too heavy, and always thought about the health side of things too. So we always had the doctor in the gym looking after us, getting checks all the time. But I knew that going from chatting to some of the English guys I know who've done the same thing as I have, competed for so many years, that you can't just come off completely and just go cold turkey. You need to keep something in there. You need to keep at least one shot of test every 10 days.
Yeah.
So I think for the last few years I've been just doing the one shot, you know, going from like a different blend or going on to like a faster test, and just doing that once every 10 or one every 7 days. And that's just kept enough in my system just to keep things right.
Yeah.
Plus I still go and get the checks done. Sure. But I think you need something in there, you know. I think you just can't come off and feel proper, you feel right. Even if you've just done cycles for a couple of years and you're getting into your 40s, I think you still need to keep maybe one shot in there.
Yeah.
Just to feel right, just for your head and your body. Because even going through, my training never really changes. So I've been training the same kind of intensity from day one. You know, even if I'm sick, I'm still in the gym trying to do something. So I train pretty hard. You know, I like all the heavy exercises. I like all the heavy bent over rows, the stuff that people don't like doing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I built the physique, is doing the shit that people don't want to do. So I still train that same way. And I'm finding now that I'm training with guys half my age, and they're pushing hard to get where I am. So I'm pushing hard to stay above them.
Yeah.
And I'm still smoking, you know, I'm still smoking the young guys. So I think I'm doing something right, you know.
Yeah.
But you still, I think now for the rest of my days, I think I'll need something, a TRT in there. There's no point in me coming off completely.
I get you. No, I get you 100%. Like even with the guys I would tend to help out, what's really been refreshing, like I don't even have to mention it, but they always seem to have, like, I've been lucky now that the guys I'd be helping, they'd be very much health focused. They kind of know, like, look, realistically, their genetics are only going to let them get so far. So, that they've always had the health on the forefront of their minds, and they get their bloods done, and we go from there, and it's great. But for sure, I know when I started out, and I know when a lot of the guys I know started out, it was kind of willy-nilly. There was not a lot of information going around. We didn't know what was what. But nowadays, I do tell people, like, not even tell them. It's just like what you said there. You want to do what it takes to maintain healthy levels of hormones and everything after the shows. I mean, that's the most important part of it, really. But that being said, with the training, Dave, did you stick to a philosophy? Was it like heavy duty, high intensity, or was it more volume based? What did you kind of do?
I've done probably more volume from day one.
Cool.
You know, I've always hit the bigger body parts. You know, the back, especially would have been maybe 24 sets for back. Same for legs, you know, and then not as much for shoulders and arms, but it's always been pretty heavy duty. You know, it's the way I've been sort of taught myself, and it's I suppose when I've been brought up through looking at Lee Haney back in the 80s, looking at his back, you know, and watching how he trained.
Yeah.
And you would have thought that's what you would got to do for a big back. So I've always started off with the heavy stuff, you know, and then going on through like the Dorian era, and then Ronnie Coleman. You know, they've always had great backs. So I thought, this is what I need. Everybody needs a good back if you want to compete and you want to win shows. So that's where I get my sort of philosophy, right? Stick with what these guys are doing. If they're doing it right back then you know, I just keep doing the same thing. Even right up to 2015, then I chatted to JP, you know, Jordan Peters.
Yeah, of course.
And I had a chat to him, and I thought, you know, we'll give something else a go here, and he gave me the push pull legs workout. So I signed up with him for a while, and decided to try this, you know. And we started off pretty good. We started off like 4 to 6 weeks. Everything was going up, you know, strength, putting a bit of size on. And then after like 6 weeks, then I got one injury, then I got another injury, and I got 3 small pulls, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, fuck, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm either too old, I'm not recovering quick enough, or it's just not my way of training. So I just dropped it. Then after that, I just said to him, look, JP, you know, thanks for your help, but it's not working for me.
Yeah.
So I went back. I revert back to my own sort of training. I like to keep things fresh. I like to keep workouts different. We have so much equipment in that gym that you can swap and change every workout. You don't have to do the same things, you know. Plus the fact I'm bringing in new machines all the time. Myself and my new business partner, Ben Forker, we're doing the gym shop stuff. We're selling the gym equipment too. We've a lot of machines there, and anything that I see what we bring in, and I decide, right, this is something I could have in my gym, we'll just change it about. So everything in the gym is completely changing. We keep all the good machines, but we swap some of the other stuff, and just keep the workouts varied, keep the workouts all different, and not doing the same thing week in, week out. But
Yeah.
the high volume stuff always worked for me.
Deadly. No, because I always figured out, like I did push pull legs for a period of time, and the only time I found it was really, really good for breaking plateaus in terms of getting stronger. But if you injured, if you hurt yourself doing something, it didn't really give you that much leeway in terms of working around it. So I reverted back to doing individual body parts, and I think I haven't really stuck. I haven't changed from that, but I wouldn't be too much of a volume person. I'd kind of be in and out. But it would be, 45 to an hour. That would be it. Like, I mean, I'd be on my own, so I wouldn't really. When I'm with somebody like who's at a good training level, like you're probably the same, Dave. Like I wouldn't train with people who, I would either train people who would I'd either train people or I would train with guys who are better than me to help me get to another step. But when you started training, did you have any mentors, or did you kind of just do it yourself, or how did you manage?
Yeah, way back at the start, it was just me.
Yeah.
We had no real knowledge, and it was only when I went to some of the Britain finals that I met Ken Roscoe from Team Food Tech. Do you remember him?
No, that goes way back.
He had a supplement company called Food Tech, and he took on maybe, I would say, about 10 good British bodybuilders, male and female. Cool. And he asked me that I want to be on his team too. So he took me on, and he prepped me for maybe 4 years, going through all the shows. He was based in outside Leeds. So prep time, I would have flew over to Leeds, flew over in the morning, went to a gym, trained, met him. He would have had a look at me, brought out the calipers, took a few measurements, and then just nodded his head, started writing down a bit of paper. And there was no compliments. There was no like, oh, you're looking good. But, he would have just looked at you, and I thought, right, are we going to get a compliment here? And there was like, for the first 2 years, I don't think I got one compliment. And I flew over every 4 to 6 weeks for that day for him to look at me and they change a few things. And it was only after like 2 years he started giving me a compliment. So that was my first sort of prep coach. Yeah. And I respected him for that, because I knew that if you got a compliment on this guy, you were doing good.
Yeah.
So that was probably the only guy I had who prepped me.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. No, because that brings me back. I've only worked with I've actually only worked with one coach, really, or I've done it myself. And it's like kind of been 50-50. I mean, when I worked with Christian McAlinden, I did get my best placings, but at the same time, it was very much a case of, when you're ready, you'll get something. You'll get like, okay, you look okay. It would never be you look great. It would be always you look okay. But do you find like a lot of coaches now when they're training clients, they're blowing smoke up their arse? It's not really much of. Do you think there's too much of that going on? Yeah.
Yeah, even just when you're looking for a coach, some coaches will just say, look, oh, you look great, without even seeing you or without even looking through your photos. Oh, you got potential. I think you could be a pro. And the young guys now are thinking, oh shit, maybe this is the guy for me. So they're buying into the whole, this coach is going to get me places, going to get me a pro card. So I think when you're looking for a coach, you want to think, has this guy even been there and done it? Has he done many shows? Has he won many competitions? Has he got many people ready for shows? What's his credentials? Because there's too many coaches who are just starting out in the game, and they're thinking, oh, I'm a prep coach now. I'm going to start prepping people. So I would say make sure that when you're looking for a coach, have a look at what he's done, where he is at the minute, who he's prepped, and what his credentials are before you take somebody on. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely bang on advice, because the amount of people it took me 8 years to finally get into it. So I tell people this: I've been training for 10 years straight as a bodybuilder, competing for 8. But it took me that long to finally get into coaching. So when I finally see people, you know, when I see guys compete, not even competing, it's more, you know, they haven't competed, or I'm not saying competing is the be all and end all. I mean, like, I know some deadly coaches who haven't competed, just based on their own knowledge, or like they have some genuine knowledge, but in the large majority of cases, when you see somebody who doesn't have too much practical experience or credibility from any other form of training, try to coach people, it doesn't lead to an end result that's left to be desired. But in your gym, would you have like set trainers you would advise people to work with, or how does it work with you guys? Because every gym's different.
I suppose from day one, I've been training. I've been the trainer. I've been the judge that's judging some of the shows.
Yeah.
And people would come to me and ask me to prep them. So I would have had most of the guys ask my advice at some stage, even if they had another coach involved. They would still come and ask my advice, which is probably a bad idea too. They have 2 different opinions if you're working with some guy. So
yeah,
most of the guys that trained in my gym asked me to prep them. Now, because the likes of Brian's training there, Brian's taking on his clients. So he has a number of clients now that he prep that train in my gym. And then I have my clients that I prep. So we're sort of, between myself and Brian, I think we're the only 2 real coaches in the gym that's looking after people.
Okay.
But again,
we're not taking on anyone, or? Yeah, no, carry on. Sorry.
Billy's not.
No.
Billy's not even training as well.
Okay.
Billy stopped training when that show finished.
Damn.
He hasn't come back to the gym, for fuck's sake.
Because I was talking
he's
to
just gone back to.
Damn. No, because I was talking to him. I was talking to him, and I was like, I had like himself. I had a few people I was thinking of working with, and I ended up talking to. I kind of do my own thing, and then I run my ideas through Niall Kinsella. He'd be my second eye at this point. But now Billy was one of the few people I was thinking of. It was yourself, Billy, and I had a few people I just had on the radar. But damn, no, I thought he would have kept training, but no, fair enough.
Nobody's seen him since the show.
Yeah.
You know, he came in after the show. He brought his trophy and his medal, and he stuck it on the counter. And I says, had a few words, and he done a couple of workouts, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah.
So if you see him, you know, I'm looking for him.
Yeah. I know.
If you get him on the show and ask him where the hell's he been the last 2 months.
Oh, for sure. No, he has nothing to prove. He has nothing to prove at this point. I think he's won everything that needs to be won, really. Yeah. But that's
Billy's like King Billy in the South, isn't he? Everybody looks up to Billy and they think he's a king.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody loves him. They call him Billy Bourne, or is it Billy Burry, or they have a couple of nicknames for him in the South. But Billy gets on with everybody down in the South.
Yeah, I think the main thing is he's at every single show. Like, he's always backstage at the show, so I think he's a figure anyway. So it's not
everybody.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
He's a likable kid.
He's a nice. He's the thing is, though, it's like I'd be very lucky. I'd be very, very lucky in that I kind of I take, you know, I'm kind of in a great position where I would be generationally, I'd be younger, but I would always go to the guys that came before and ask them what has been done, how to do things. That would be my knowledge base, would be from you guys. So I always tell people, like, don't be afraid to ask any of us any questions, as long as we're not in the middle of, you know, a set of squats or something. You know, ask anything. Do you find that people, like a lot of guys, would be a bit more hesitant to ask, or do you think people are a bit more, they want information now? So how do you think it's worked out?
They want to know now. They want to read, and they want to see you on your social media. They want to ask you questions. You know, it's too easy. It's so easy now for somebody just to send you a message through social media and ask you these things. And then in the gym too, it's probably best that when you're prepping somebody, when I'm prepping guys, it's good looking at pictures and videos, but you need to see the people. You need to see the people in the flesh. So anybody I'm prepping, they usually travel either from the south or from around Belfast. Cool. They travel to the gym, and we have a workout, and we go and check, and we have, you know, check their body fat and stuff. So I think when you're prepping somebody, you have to see them in the flesh. It's all right. Pictures just don't give you the same, you know, the same kind of justice where you're seeing people in the flesh. And usually when you see them in the flesh, they look so much better than in pictures.
No, but, you're right. You're right.
You need to be asking the questions on a daily basis. If somebody tells you to do something, you ask them why. You know, why do you want me to do that for? Instead of just taking their advice. You know?
Yeah. No, I think that's very good. That's a great bit of advice, because I've worked with a few people, and I remember I would get them. It would either be one of two things. It would either be they don't ask anything at all. So in my head, I'm kind of like, it's trying to get water out of a stone, in terms of, I don't think, now it could have just been circumstances, but I found there's two kinds of clients you can have. You can either have the clients like yourself, that will want to put in the time and effort, and they will come up to the gym and they will have you look at them in the flesh, and they're the ones who usually end up looking really good on the day. But I've had a few online clients, and trying to get information from them was actually quite difficult. So it ended up being they didn't place as well as they wanted. I could only do so much on my end. Like I do think it's, the client has to put in that little bit of effort to want it. You can only tell them the information, but if they're not doing it and they're not asking the questions why or how, nothing's going to happen. I mean, you have to have a good relationship. So, but
But you have to come up to the gym sometime anyway for a workout.
For sure. I was talking to Brian, and I was talking to I was gonna do a trip. I was gonna like book an Airbnb and stay for like a few days and just go to a few of the gyms. Because I've been up to the gyms, but I've only been to two, and it was always during prep, so I never really got to, you know, I wasn't myself. It wasn't the full enjoyment. Like when I'm in my off season, I travel around. I'll go to everywhere. I'll have fun with it. But no, definitely for sure. Do you have a posing room and all that stuff in the gym as well, or how does it work?
Yeah, you've probably seen the room at the back where it's just all wall mirrors. So that's where we go for posing it.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
Take them zoom out the back and check how fat he is, you know.
Yeah, deadly.
So it's
deadly, man.
But,
deadly, man. Well, look, Dave. Where can people find you for coaching? What's the information for them?
Just you can use my Facebook, Instagram. I have a Facebook that Dave Fox Coaching, or Instagram. You get me on there, or just drop me a message to the Progym page too. You know, you can go on the Progym page, have a look around, have a look at the photos, see what the gym's about, and if you want to travel up, come up and visit. I'm sure you'll get some of the best workouts you ever had.
Deadly, man.
Maybe
for sure. for sure. I mean, no, definitely, because I said to Mark, I just need like 5 weeks to get back to where I was, because all I'm doing right now, I got resistance bands, and I've reduced my food intake, so it's like I'm holding what I have, kind of just enjoying it, but the body rebounds. The body always bounces back, so I'm not too worried. But Dave, it was a delight having you on. I'll send you a message when this is up, and deadly. Look, when the gyms, like, you guys, are you October? Is that when it's opening up top, or is it? Do you think it's going to be a little bit earlier?
I think they're going to speed it up now. I think retail shops are open from 15th of June, so I think after that, then we could be open late on June or start of July. I think the gyms are going to be the last to open, but maybe hopefully later on in June, July, hopefully. Cool. So that's the. But thanks for having me on. I know it's been good chatting.
Absolutely. Well, look, Dave, I'll let you go, and
no problem.
For everyone listening, Dave is reachable on those. I'll link everything down below anyway, and that's what's done. All right.